Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Buckle up. This is what happens when management tries to play favorites, but the rulebook warriors know the contract better than HR itself. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. We weaponize the promotion system to drive our toxic bosses mad. Important backstory. In the USA, government jobs are under the civil service system. This is supposed to ensure that government jobs are given out based on what you know, not who you know. For example, to get a job as an entry-level accountant, one would need to meet the minimum qualification of a Bachelor of Science in Accounting. Periodically, a test would be given for that position. The people who score the highest on the test are first in line for jobs. This uses the rule of three. The job's supposed to go to one of the three highest-scoring candidates who agree to accept the job if offered. Promotion examinations are held the same way. Needless to say, managers and politicians hate this. There was a group of employees at my state agency who took every promotion exam we were qualified for and generally got top scores on all of them. We all had excellent work records and even awards for productivity, innovation, and going the extra mile. None of us had any black marks on our personal files other than maybe a counseling memo. That's basically a slap on the wrist, less than a formal write-up. Boss told employee not to do X ever again. However, we had problems like use of offensive language. We said inappropriate things like, "Why are we doing this way? This is awkward and inefficient. We can streamline this process." Bosses don't like this kind of language. We also brought offensive materials into the workplace, such as, "Look at this. It says right here in Chapter X, Section Y of Z state law, we're doing this wrong." Bosses don't like this either. So now we have a group of highly qualified, motivated employees sitting on top of the promotion lists. The people the bosses wanted to promote were lower on the lists, but if three of us applied, were interviewed, and said yes, the job legally had to be given to one of us. We got to know each other because the lists were available to employees. We started with calling each other. "Did you apply for X promotion?" We sort of became a support group. We'd even meet for lunch or drinks after work sometimes and called ourselves the Unpromotables. Then we realized something. Why are we only applying for jobs we want? This is where the malicious compliance comes in. The bunch of us started applying for every promotion we were on the list for, no matter how bad the job, how mean the boss, how toxic the office, no matter what the duties, we all applied. And when asked if we'd accept the job if offered, we all said yes. We heard through the grapevine that this was driving management insane. Their teachers, pets, and brown nosers wanted promotions, but we were blocking them. Whenever management tried something shady, they quickly found out that all of us knew our rights under state civil service law backwards and forwards. It was both funny and frustrating to see management leave a position unfilled rather than give it to any of us. This was also not popular with the employees in those offices, who now had to pick up the slack from the vacant position, which was above their pay grade, as well as their own, with no increase in pay. I was actually offered a promotion once, and the hiring manager had started onboarding me, but the big boss over both offices shot it down because they didn't want to lose me from my old position. That boss blocked my promotions for over a decade. Sorry this doesn't have a happy ending. That was still the status quo when I took early retirement the second I turned 55. Was planning on working longer, but 30-plus years of a steady diet of toxic crap was drastically affecting my physical and mental health. I'm just impressed you put up with someone blocking your promotions for a decade. I would have left way before that. And our second story. Neighbor started a turf war over 5 feet of land. Now she's screaming at her own fence. Me, 39-year-old female, and my husband, 49-year-old male, moved into this house in 2018. The neighbor in question technically lives on the cross street to ours, but our driveway is adjacent to her backyard. When we moved in, we were under the impression that the property extended about 3 to 4 feet-ish beyond the edge of our driveway, which was fine. We've used this as a guide for where we mow that strip of lawn. Generally, we mow 2.5 to 3 more widths, and it was never an issue. This lady's in her 60s or 70s, I'm not really sure. Like I said, never had a problem at all. I had a few brief conversations with her, and the same with my husband and hers during the first couple of years we lived here. Not really even enough to consider them acquaintances, but enough to be civil and give the occasional wave. Her husband passed away in 2020 or 2021, I really can't remember. I don't know if it was COVID-related or not, but he had health issues beforehand, so I'm not sure. Since then, she's hired a lawn care service to mow, leaf blow, etc. At the time, my husband worked second shift, so we would sleep in a bit most days till 10 or so. Our bedroom's adjacent to our driveway, and the way the room is, the only way to put a bed is with the head along that wall. But that wall has 2 huge windows. It's an older house, and the windows are pretty thin. We started getting woken up at 7 a.m. weekly to a lawnmower and leaf blower directly outside our window. Finally, my husband checked it out and found the lawn boy driving his riding lawnmower up and down our driveway to access her yard and standing in our driveway to blow leaves. This would literally be less than 10 feet from our heads as we slept. He'd had enough and went out and got this guy's attention and told him, "Look, this is my driveway. It's not a thoroughfare for her yard because it's convenient." The kid, I don't know, early 20-ish, apologized. But this lady has had it out for us ever since. About a year later, my teenager was raking leaves to the apron of the yard because our town comes along and sucks them up every year. He was putting them on our side, and she came out and yelled at him, saying they were on her lawn. He said he thought our property line was from the telephone pole over. She said it wasn't. Whatever. Maybe a month later, I was returning from the store and saw she was trying to pick up sticks in her yard. The way she moves makes it clear she has back issues, like she can't bend, she had to crouch and reach. I asked her from my driveway, "Mrs. So-and-so, do you want some help?" No answer. Maybe she didn't hear me. Louder, "Mrs. So-and-so." She didn't turn around, just "No," with an attitude. Fine. I went inside and figured she was still salty about the whole lawn boy situation. A few months ago, my husband was hosing out our trash can and dumped the water along the edge of the street on our strip of land. The street has storm gutters because we get a lot of rain. She had a fit about it and came out to yell at him. He told her he isn't some kid she can yell at and to leave him alone. Within a week, she hired a guy to survey the land. Come to find out, her land ends on just the opposite side of the telephone pole, which gives her like 5-ish less feet. She's all butthurt about it, but whatever. So about a week or so later, it's evening, and I'm packing up the car for my husband to go to work as he's on nights now, and I just kind of glance in the direction of her house as I start the car and see her and some guy standing at the window just effing staring at me. I'm literally doing the same thing I do every night when I pack up the car. I don't know what the deal was. So I come inside and tell my husband these people are just standing there being creepy and it's unnerving. He goes out to put something in the car, and this guy comes out of her house and goes off about how we're harassing her and all that. My husband tells this guy, "Back off. I'm just trying to get ready for work." So the police get called, and it's a whole dumb thing. Her and this guy get trespassed for our property, and my husband gets trespassed for her property. I'd stayed inside during the whole police talk, so I didn't get anything. She's literally crying to the cop that we have cameras looking into her windows. We have security cameras for the same reasons most people do in case something happens. Like we GAF about what's going on in her place. The officer told her we can have 100 cameras if we want. Last week, she had the city survey. They put little flags where the gas line or whatever is, so we assume she's going to build a fence. Then she cuts down this huge bush in her yard that's always been there. So again, we're getting excited she's going to build a fence. Monday morning at 6 a.m., she's standing in her window watching me put our garbage can to the curb. Today, her daughter comes and puts up a security camera pointing into our garage area and backyard, which she couldn't even see until they cut the bush down. We're cracking up. It's freaking hilarious. So, of course, my husband now intends to get 3 more cameras for that side of the house to freak her out even more. I don't know. Maybe we're being petty a-holes. I think it's mostly funny, especially since it all started by us not wanting people in our driveway. Update. She had a fence built. My husband was out clearing leaves off the car in the evening after the construction was finished. This is not unusual. He always clears the leaves off the car while getting ready to leave for work. Well, out she came. I couldn't see her as I was on our back patio, but she was screaming like a effing lunatic. "Stay away from that fence," and "Get away from that fence," and my personal favorite, "Leave that fence alone, you SOB." We're happy she built a fence. He wasn't touching it, and WTF does she think he's gonna do? Knock the damn thing over? We have zero intention of vandalizing her fence or property. I find it super silly and even unhinged that she put up a fence, which in my mind says, this is my side and that's yours, but then proceeds to scream at him for being on our side. He didn't even hear her, and when I told him, he didn't say anything back because he didn't want to give her a reason to call the cops or whatever. You've seen the little tacky signs that are gnomes or whatever bending over and showing their butts? I'd absolutely get some of those just to put in my yard for her cameras to see. And our last story. The day Karen leaves my neighborhood. Good morning from the juicy American suburbs. It's Saturday, 7 a.m. The air smells of freshly ground espresso, and 3 beauties sit in my driveway. My workhorse Ford F-150, my wife's Jeep Wrangler, and our daughter's spry but aging Toyota Camry. I'm in a bathrobe, mug in hand, admiring the sunrise bouncing off the hoods when a message from our HOA pops up on my phone. Dear Mr. Stewart, you have violated the 2 cars per household rule. Because you keep 3 vehicles in your driveway, your monthly fee is hereby increased by $500. Sincerely, Karen Mitchell, HOA President. I reread it, take a long sip, and laugh so loudly that Ginger, the neighbor's poodle, whips her head around. Karma can be instant, or in my case, slow burn. 25 years ago, I started quietly buying up houses on this street as the original owners retired to warmer climates. A deed here, a contract there, and today I own 28 of 30 homes. I rent them out through a management company so no one knows who the real landlord is, including, drumroll please, Karen herself. Ah, Karen. Outwardly a sweetie with homemade lemonade, in reality the queen of passive aggression. Remember blind Mr. Hancock in house number 17? Karen spent an entire summer writing to shelters to get his guide dog removed because the fur would ruin the flower beds. When that failed, she needled his wife daily. Charlotte, maybe sweep the sidewalk before you parade that mud around. And the Hancocks were one of only 2 owners I hadn't bought out for sentimental reasons. Back to my espresso. I type a reply. Dear Miss Mitchell, thank you for your concern. An emergency board meeting was convened today. By a vote of 28 yes to 2 abstain, the following amendments passed. 1. If the owner's name begins with S, up to 5 vehicles are permitted in the driveway. 2. The use of pink clipboards and measuring tapes within the HOA is now taxed at $500 per month. Regards, Stuart S., board chair, treasurer, and, oh why not, amateur barista. Send. Time for a coffee refill. This weekend's gonna be fun. An hour later, pounding on the door, Karen, minus her usual smile, wields that same pink clipboard like a shield. Mr. Stewart, this is some mistake. I'm the president, not you. Karen dear, only an owner can be president. Know who owns your house? I pause. Hint, he's sipping coffee right now. Her eyes go wide. That's not fair. I held a vote last year. Among renters, their votes are advisory only. Did you read the bylaws? I was busy with beautification. And gossip, I add quietly. Speaking of beautification, your yard clashes with the approved palette. Start by removing those garden gnome lanterns. They blind Mr. Hancock. Karen flushes beet red. You'll ruin my life, but I'll outsmart you. Try. So far, the only thing you've outsmarted is common sense. She pivots on her heels, the clipboard clicking furiously. The next few days turned into a reality show. Karen canvassed the neighbors, collecting signatures against the street's despotic overlord. Every other tenant sheepishly replied, Karen, I'd write the owner, but that's Stewart. Some even winked. Ma'am, you're complaining to your landlord. Realizing things weren't going her way, Karen decided to bolt. She paid her rent through the end of the month and moved out. A week later, a lovely new family settled into her former home. Goodbye, Karen. Someone picked a fight well outside her weight class and had to flee the ring in round 1. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.